I've been reviewing your file, and it seems as if you have an addiction to 3 Wise Radio.
Like to play hockey in their off time, and like a cool like AA team kicked them off the ice. It was like, well, we'll beat you, and then we can use the ice.
I would never get excited for a Mighty Ducks film, but I would be intrigued if you took Joshua Jackson and put him in the Emilio Estevez role.
What have I told you?
No, just bring back a cranky
Estevez
ass Emilio Estevez.
was in it.
I couldn't hear you. You guys are both talking. What?
What if Emilio Estevez plays Emilio?
No.
Okay.
Do you bring Emilio in, though?
As like the Hans character.
Yeah.
For guidance. You essentially go the next generational step. If you wanted to do that, I'd be intrigued by it, but there was nothing ever. I'm not 5 anymore, and it's not the 90s, so there's nothing that's going to get me excited about Mighty Ducks. Like,
if the Bash Bros are now just old fathers that like to pick fights in the stands.
No, the Bash Bros. Foggy's a Bash Bro. Foggy's one of the Bash Brothers. I don't think Foggy's beating up anybody anymore.
Shit, yeah. Oh. But the other two, yeah. Well, maybe if he works out a little, you know.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Clearly, this isn't working out. Let's talk about something else.
All right. We'll start recording.
Okay.
We're not recording?
No, we weren't.
That was solid mediocre.
Solid mediocre?
Welcome to 3 Wise Radio, a podcast where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, technology, the internet, and pretty much everything else media-related. My name is Joe Greller. I am joined, as usual, by Garrett Welker and Sam Pixley. How are you this week, guys?
I'm doing great. Honestly, can I say something?
Sure.
I miss the 3 Wise Guys thing. I don't know. I just feel like it had like a really great ring to it, but that's just me.
I don't know.
Like whenever Joe is like, I'm Joe Greller, one of the 3 Wise Guys, and joining me are the other 2 Wise Guys, Garrett Welker and Sam Pixley. Like, I liked the ring of that.
Maybe we can bring it back. We have to look into legalities, and there are many types of wise guys. There's the religious wise guy, the mafia wise guy, the just
mafia wise guys are usually the guys that get thrown in the river, right? Like, hey, you're being a wise guy.
Yeah.
And they look at like little Tony over there, and then they punch him in the gut for being a wise guy. So in that term, I don't want to be that kind of wise guy.
No.
Right?
Right. Do you want to be a man of the cloth, a holy man who knows religious answers?
No.
Okay. Don't want to be that type of wise guy then either.
I don't really I don't call those guys wise guys though.
I
call them holy people.
There's another group.
There was another group that did podcasting. No, like, we might as well just address this now because we're already into the show. There was another group that did podcasting that has not been around for probably 2.5 years. So right around the time we started, they stopped, and they also had the name of 3 Wise Guys, which is why we eventually changed the title of the show after 13 episodes from 3 Wise Guys to 3 Wise Radio.
And I'm okay. I like 3 Wise Radio as the name of our show. I just like being called one of the 3 Wise Guys. I think that's.
We'll look back into it, like I said.
All right.
Anyway, getting to some headlines this week, starting with internet news, because I always know Sam loves when we do internet news. Jump is trying to be your Netflix for gaming. A new on-demand subscription-based video game service called Jump is preparing to launch and offer an initial library of 60 to 100 indie games playable for a flat monthly fee of just $99.99. Now that's per month. After a closed beta period running between now and next week, July 24th, with a sample library of 10 to 20 games, the full service will offer unlimited ad-free playtime for its highly curated, their words, not mine, library with about 10 new games added each month for Windows, Mac, and just about any other type of PC game, and the Oculus Rift as well. So
I'm sorry, did you say $99.99?
$9.99. That's correct.
Oh, I thought
$9.99.
Yeah,
it sounded like
$9.99.
$9.99.
Yeah, $9.99.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it's indie games.
Is it just indie games?
No, that's what Joe was saying.
It is just indie games, yes.
I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense because then you can find like what the new hot thing is. But also with indie gaming, like the new hot thing stems up pretty quickly and they're pretty easily accessible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like PlayStation and I believe Xbox are doing this already with main title games, like not the biggest titles, but like cool stuff that came out 6 months ago or something. They'll have on their they have like a rental queue that goes through that they let people download and play every month. So I mean, I guess it.
I know Xbox is doing the same thing. They offer like discounted games, and like EA Sports offers their entire hub, I think, for a flat rate now. After it's been out for a year or so, but
I'm not sure.
Download just about anything.
It's not something that really particularly interests me. Like, I think it's a cool idea, but it's not something I'm going to buy into.
I guess the question is, if Taylor Swift made an indie game, would she let it be on this service?
That is
She's a douche.
Let me see here. The concept of Netflix for games has been a controversial subject among independent game developers in the past, but Anthony Pamela, CEO and their VP or whatever of content, believe they found a way to make it work for both gamers and game developers by focusing on discoverability and providing new sources of revenue for games that have worn out their premium sales. So they're trying to be helpful at least to the artist or producer, or however you want to use that analogy with Taylor Swift in the gaming industry.
I mean, maybe if they do a thing where like 10 games are available this month and then they go away, so that people would say like, oh man, I remember when I loved playing Life of Isaac. I'll buy it because I can't play it anymore.
So you put it in the Disney vault?
Yeah, sort of.
All right. I just wanted an excuse to make fun of Disney Vault. D23 coming up later in the show. Anyway, before we get to fun, lovable Disney stuff, Quentin Tarantino is looking to take on the Manson film, or the Manson murders, in a new film. Tarantino is prepping a new film that will focus on the infamous Manson murders, according to The Hollywood Reporter. They're saying that Tarantino will write and direct the historical film with his regular collaborators Harvey and Bob Weinstein, who are also involved. Production is aiming to start in 2018. Brad Pitt and Jennifer Lawrence have been approached to be involved in the film.
Has he ever told a story? Has he done something that's based on a true story before? Or like that's not so much based on a true story as like tried to make this an accurate. Is it trying to be an accurate thing, or is this going to be like a?
Well, this will be the first Tarantino film based on true events, if it is the case.
That was my question, and you gave me the answer.
However, that also means though that somehow this will also be based in the alternate reality that Hitler was killed in the Inglourious Basterds film. That is essentially what births the Tarantino universe, as we all know.
Yeah, so my only fear is that we're going to get some kind of thing where, like, Manson was actually an alien or, like, a messenger from God.
I don't think we'll get messenger from God, but we will get some sort of weird twist, yes, and it will be acceptable because, of course, Hitler died in a fiery explosion at a theater as opposed to shooting himself in a bunker.
Right. Or did he?
I don't know anymore.
Is Amelia Earhart still alive?
I saw that.
Not alive. I thought the whole thing with Amelia Earhart was they found her remains.
No, they saw a picture. Now they've found a picture of her that has already been potentially debunked. A picture of her saying that she got picked up by the Japs back in the day. They have a picture of a lady wearing pants and a guy that looked like her navigator. That was they got kidnapped or they got taken by the Japanese when they crashed during that time, and she's actually survived there. But somebody already kind of debunked that. History Channel is really trying to milk it for everything it's worth.
They haven't had anything good lately on History Channel, so yeah, that would make sense.
But circling back, I feel like Manson is still maybe not too fresh, but like people don't really want to see a different take on that.
Very true.
Plot twist, Manson is Hitler. Survived in that explosion.
There you go. There's your plot twist. That is your plot twist. Speaking of weird sequels, not weird sequels, but sequels in general and time periods, the Wonder Woman sequel is now set to be rumored in the 1980s. While it is closer to present day, it's not the present day follow-up we thought we were originally getting, and it will pit Diana against the Soviet Union in the closing days of the Cold War. There's also a rumor that Chris Pine will return as Steve Trevor. If you've seen the film, you are probably asking yourself why, and if not, you're also asking yourself, well, maybe what the hell happened in 40 years and why is Steve Trevor back? All great questions. However, producer Jeff Johns is back on, and so is Patty Jenkins. She is now set to finally officially return and direct the sequel. Do you want to see a Wonder Woman film in the 80s, or did you just want present day, which I thought is what we were getting?
Only if it's prefaced at the end of Justice League after they're victorious and Batman shows her a picture of her on a Russian sub, and it's like, hey,
now tell me this one.
And then, and it's just him explaining her photo album of how she is actually the only reason America has been able to do anything since World War I. Yeah, I don't care. And it's also a good excuse as to why it would still be a solo movie. I think it also makes sense, too, as it could further add to her character as to, like,
Why she wasn't in the world of man.
She was so dejected about everything. Not really sure what she would do in the Cold War. If it were more like she becomes like a spy or...
And see, also, the 80s had some cool Wonder Woman stories, and that's also when she got like a reboot and when we started to get... Well, you can listen to our whole history of Wonder Woman.
She was
the
spy
70s.
at that point.
No, that was 70s.
Well, oh, Jesus!
What happened? I have you...
Sorry.
Hey, stop!
Sam opened up a bottle of tequila barrel aged coffee beans.
Uh-huh.
It just like exploded everywhere.
It was extremely pressurized, and it didn't say that it was. Hey, stop!
But I mean, like, she's got that storyline in her comics history.
Sure.
So I mean, like, I'm sure they could utilize that in a different era.
Yeah,
But,
it's you know what? I would agree with that. It's just that's not, as we say, looked fondly upon in her history. So, but if Ching wants to be in the film, who are we to say no to him?
Sorry, I'm so taken aback by that incident. I don't see how it would work. I get why they would want to do it. There's a lot of reasons to do it, but I'm a little confused by that happening that way. So we'll see. I mean, they kind of get a get out of jail free card no matter what with the performance of the last one.
It is, and right now it has officially became the longest holdover of a superhero film since 2002's Spider-Man. So,
yeah,
that's impressive in itself when you're talking about an era where superhero films weren't around to now. So it's got a better holdover rate than the Avengers even did. That's saying something.
That's pretty. Yeah, that definitely says something as to the overall goodness of the movie for not just comic book audiences.
Correct. Speaking of DC, it is official. War of the Planet of the Apes director Matt Reeves is going back to the drawing board and rewriting the Ben Affleck and Jeff Johns script, meaning we're probably no longer going to see Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke, leading to possibly Kraven. Who knows? Huh? Maybe.
Side note,
If that's what happens,
I thought about this. Did we mention the guy that plays Oberyn Martell?
No.
He would have made a great Kraven the Hunter. I feel like he could do that pretty well.
He's not busy with Game of Thrones.
That's for sure.
He's dead.
Okay. Anyway, director Matt Reeves has revealed he's not working on the previous script for the Batman, opting instead for a brand new story. And when asked if he was using anything put together by Affleck and Johns, he replied, "No, it's a new story. It's just starting again. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really, really cool." But he also said that he has not started working on it yet, as he's only been focused on press tours and the finishing of War for Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that makes a ton of sense. Also, some of the other stuff that he's talked about in this it's been pretty intense. Like, he's like, yeah, I have no problem walking away from a project if I don't get exactly my vision. I actually look for reasons to walk away from projects.
I mean,
because
it would make sense.
If a movie's going to be bad, it's going to be my fault. It's not going to be because someone else tried to do something that I wasn't okay with.
No, and that makes sense. And he's
Jesus.
only directed 5 films.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing he did was Felicity with J.J. Abrams, so scratch your head on that altogether, but...
The only other thing that I'd say with that, is he hasn't worked on a property of this. I mean, Planet of the Apes, has a rich history and everything like that, but
something of this
a
caliber.
Project of this, like, magnitude in terms of, like, inclusion and working with other people to make sure that these movies are in line with each other. He hasn't done anything like that before.
There you go. In other DC news, DC Earth 1 graphic novels are going to make a return, and this time we're getting a look at Hal Jordan. No word yet on the Flash or Aquaman ones that were promised to us this year and then all of a sudden vanished. But anyway, DC Earth 1's Green Lantern will be written by Corina Pacheco and will be drawn by Gabriel Hardman. So, as anyone knows, the Earth 1 stories kind of have a different take on all the heroes. I personally have loved the Earth 1 line. I've read all of them except Teen Titans Volume 2, and that's just because I've been lazy and haven't gotten around to it just yet. But the story will re-envision Hal Jordan as an astronaut who is a thrill seeker for discovery and finds himself in an unfulfilling job of basically, well, projecting asteroids for Ferris Galactic. His fortunes change when he finds a power ring and learns that it came from the Green Lantern Corps, a group that was killed long ago by the Manhunters, and sets him on a mission to reinstate the Corps for a nearly impossible task for the fearless Jordan. So my opinion is that this is the exact same synopsis as the normal Green Lantern story, other than he's an astronaut instead of a pilot.
Yeah, space. Space is cooler than air.
Than not space.
Than up in the air.
Yeah, I just wish we would have gotten a different villain than the Manhunters. I mean, I feel like since Johns rewrote the book on Green Lantern, that's it. We're never getting a new take again on Green Lantern, which is essentially why I don't care that he's not in the DC Extended Cinematic Universe, because right now he's a boring character again to me, because we're just rehashing the John story over and over again.
Yeah.
With slight tweaks.
Still fairly fresh, but I mean, the only other thing is I think he's supposed to be more of a scientist in this one. So I liked the idea that they're like, this is going to be like a sci-fi thing, which we haven't had really in Earth 1 yet.
No, that's true. That would be breaking new ground.
That's a different element to explore.
Yeah, and that's the case. That's fine. There is a hard release date on this, which there is normally not for Earth 1 novels, but it will come your way March 20th of 2018. That's going to do it for headlines. We're going to take a look at Planet of the Apes in just a bit, but a big convention was held this weekend. Maybe you heard about it. It's called D23, and it's everything Disney wants you to know about all their properties.
Whenever I want something smooth and classy, I listen to 3 Wise Radio.
D23 was this weekend, which is essentially Disney's way of telling you everything that is coming out from them over the next year. And yes, there are some cool stuff, and there's also some not such cool stuff either. However, one of the things we did get was Star Wars The Last Jedi director says the title's meaning evolves over the course of the film. How do you say his first name? Is it Ryan or Ryan?
It's Ryan.
It is Ryan? Okay.
I heard it, Ryan Johnson.
Okay.
Right. Is it?
I don't know.
Johnson. Just call him Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson has come forward.
Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson has come forward to shed light on the movie's title, saying it will evolve through the meaning of the film, and his exact quote was, it has not even necessarily multiple meanings, but its meaning evolves over the course of the film. That's what he told Good Morning America. The Last Jedi is tied up in Luke and Rey's story of the importance of the title to the new movie. For ultimately what it comes down to is that first question of, what is the deal with Luke Skywalker? And Luke and Rey are kind of the beating heart of the film. So The Last Jedi and all the things that it means is tied up in their story. So that was the heart of it. The guy's talking in circles. Like, I don't always read clearly, but I'm reading that almost verbatim, and then the sentence structure fucks me up.
I would like if we got to like the Star Wars. I guess we got that a little in The Force Awakens, where we're like, there's two different stories taking place, and I would be okay if Luke and Rey were just on that planet.
Oh, for the entire movie?
Stuff was going on without them, and they did not come into play at all until either the very end, which even that I would be okay with omitting that, and just weren't into play. And it was essentially, you've got this battle going on outside of that world, and then that world is basically the inner struggle of Luke to actually take her in and train her so that she could be potentially the last Jedi and not him. If he's just saying that because it's a play on words and that the title goes from plural to singular because Luke dies at the end, that's dumb.
Agreed.
But I would like that idea.
Though.
Yes.
I think you just spoiled the entire film, Sam. Thanks.
If somebody in a room, in a big business room with a suit on, thought that was clever, Disney can go fuck themselves.
Wouldn't be the first time something like that.
It's true. It's true.
Do you have an example?
Of just executives being idiots? I mean, not off the top of my head, but
okay.
I feel like we complain about entertainment and pop culture for a reason, so.
Fair enough.
Listen, I don't know. It's all the speculation, and I know people want to get into the whole gray Jedi stuff and everything else. This movie's going to have to wow me, because hearing all the updates on Han Solo, hearing all the stuff from Rogue One, knowing we're getting 9 and other stuff in the future, I'm almost Star Wars out. I'm just like, give me the movie. Let me decide for myself. I don't need to know every little detail on the exact details of this movie. You want to tell me what's coming down the pipeline for other projects? That's fine, but we want to break down every little bit before we actually get to see this movie.
And I think that'll tone down.
You do?
I really do. I mean, a few years down the road, but like think about it this way: like, there's plenty of Avengers news and stuff that's been popping up. Do we really talk about it on
No.
this cast?
No.
Not really. I mean, we mentioned it briefly, but we don't go into as great of detail about every little aspect. Like, the only thing we still cover pretty closely is still like casting things.
Yeah.
But that's, again, pretty brief. Like, do you like it? And then it gets more into the concept of should this person play this person. I mean, we don't really cover it that much anymore just because it's old hat. So I think that this will kind of slow down a little bit. Never fully, just like Avengers never fully has, but just unfortunately we're right in the heart of it, and they're hitting it really hard. So
Yeah.
you'll be okay.
Thank you. And that's just my take. If you want your fix of Star Wars news, you can always get all the up-to-minute updates on Beyond the Blast Doors and check them out as well. In other D23 news, Mark Ruffalo has I think Mark Ruffalo got this question so many times he just snapped on the press line because he was being interviewed by Variety and he almost just snaps and starts barking at the dude. And he's like, I just want to make one thing perfectly clear. A standalone Hulk movie will never happen. He says they don't have the rights to it. If they put out a standalone film, they have to do it with Universal, and Universal apparently does not want to make money. So, and then he went on to say that he think he has 2 or 3 more years before he gets too old to play the character of Bruce Banner. So,
Yeah, for all those intense chase sequences that Bruce is involved in.
well, he also motion captures the Hulk though too.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't need to do that.
You don't.
You can do facial captures, and if this guy wants to have another career for the next 20 years, he's still got to use his face.
I mean, there's also them playing the same character for.
No, I'm
Over
fine
10
if he says he
years.
gets bored of it, but to say that he physically can't do it,
Yeah.
get the fuck out of here. That's no way.
Are you upset that we'll never see a standalone Hulk movie? The only thing I ever really wanted to see was they teased the leader so much in that Norton one. I did want to see Hulk, a dude who's just got massive amounts of strength, battle, and intellectual. I thought that would have been a good one-on-one matchup. But we're getting essentially what we can of World War Hulk in Thor Ragnarok. So would we really?
No. I understand every element as to why they're not making a Hulk movie, and to me, this Thor movie is my Hulk movie.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's fine. I love the Hulk. I think he's a really cool character, but I understand how it's hard to write a good story for him. He smashes things,
True.
and that's what people want. So
But you can't just make a movie of just that.
we've had Banner running away from the cops before.
Yeah.
So I mean, what else is there to do? Are they going to run away from the cops again? It's like, oh, remember when you helped save us from intergalactic doom? Get him. It just doesn't make sense anymore. This is the only story that really makes sense anymore for him.
Agreed. 100%. It's almost like, how do they keep writing comics for the Hulk too?
They keep making silly decisions.
They give him a different character.
He's a different person, or this one he's smart, or this one he can talk, or this one he's dumb but he can talk, or this one he's smart but he can't talk. There's like 4 elements of the Hulk that you can change up.
And they've done every variation of it.
So
He's
have.
gray.
Yes, they have.
Ooh, I would like to see a noir one with him as mob boss Hulk.
Do you like to see? Yeah.
Gray mob boss Hulk, I would like to see that one. Maybe get noir Spider-Man as well. That'd be pretty cool. Anywho, Disney is not just Marvel and Star Wars. It also is actual Disney characters, but probably not the ones you're thinking of. At the D23 Expo, you got your first look at the Mary Poppins sequel. That's right, a sequel to the 1964 film. Director Rob Marshall and actress Emily Blunt took the stage at D23 on Saturday to present their first ever footage from Mary Poppins Returns, the follow-up to the 1964 classic. The footage was a rough teaser of shots and a title card and a largely dialogue-free, as the film has only finished filming a few weeks ago. However, the footage was accompanied by a live orchestra performing original new music for the film, conducted by its composer, Mark Sheeman. So, big hubbub, lots of bells and whistles for Mary Poppins. Which, okay, Mary Poppins, classic Disney character, but at the same time, this is what D23 is, man. It is everything Disney.
Circumstance?
Yeah, like, Was there really a clamor to see the new Mary Poppins footage?
I think a little bit. And honestly, I actually think Mary Poppins, this is a great move for Emily Blunt because she's very likable. People really enjoy her. She's also married to John Krasinski, so she gets extra like points there. I guarantee if this movie is bad, she will get nods for a job well done. I think this is a win-win for her, especially even with a character that's so like beloved, even though I would argue who seriously loves Mary Poppins
Yondu
anymore? Yondu does. Yondu does. But honestly, like, who loves Mary Poppins?
That's a good point.
I think you're at the point now where people are like, my beloved Mary Poppins. She doesn't sing about sugar.
I actually like the Chimney Sweep better than Mary Poppins.
Well, there you go.
You like Dick
I don't
Van
know who
Dyke.
that is.
Dick Van Dyke.
No, but I know that he played it, but I don't know who's playing. Or no, it might not even be playing him because he's probably dead.
Dick Van Dyke's still alive.
No, but playing his character.
Dick Van Dyke is living on pure joy.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, so we'll find out if the Chimney Sweeper is in Mary Poppins Returns because that will come out December 25th, 2018. So
now I can see him showing up, just like, ooh, with that. Doesn't he have like super powder white hair now?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
You're still around looking good. And then he gets kind of like creepy a little bit.
Also,
just a little bit. Do you still love him?
Also, all that would not be hard. In Disney theme park news, Spider-Man and the Avengers are coming to Disneyland. Disney teased more Marvel-based attractions coming to Disney California Adventure at Disneyland Resort in Anaheim and its parks and resorts at the panel for D23. Disney Parks and Resorts chairman revealed that Spider-Man and the Avengers will be joining Guardians of the Galaxy at the park on the heels of the recently debuted Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout attraction, which used to be Tower of Terror in Disneyland. The official blog post from the Disney parks calls the Marvel plans for California Adventure a completely immersive superhero universe, where guests can team up with their favorite superheroes like never before, seemingly hinting Mission Breakout could mark the beginning of a full Marvel-based land within the park. It remains to be seen if Spider-Man and the Avengers, what their specific plans are for the two new rides, or any other forms of entertainment that might be coming. California Adventure is going to add, though officially, Spider-Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Groot, Star-Lord, and Gamora, but there are clearly bigger plans at hand for the Disney theme park to ride. So, we have all these lands. They also debuted the Star Wars land, which we can talk about here in a second. But you have Avatar land, you have Harry Potter World. We mentioned a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago at this point, the Dubai or Abu Dhabi, wherever it was at, the DC land that was coming over there at the Warner Brothers Park. Do you want these immersive, interactive lands more and more and more?
I think they're different. The Dubai one makes me excited because it's about immersion. Just like the Simpsons one is kind of about immersion. This sounds like it's just going to be different rooms that you walk into. Like, oh, I'm going to go see the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. And then maybe there's Star-Lord walking around in a suit. I would rather go to see the mock-ups of the Star Wars one where they're like, oh, this is Tatooine. Like, everything is really unattractive because it's all just sand colored and you can get blue milk and things like that. Like, I want the immersion. This doesn't sound like immersion to me. Whereas at least you do have very distinct cities in the DC one, where there's going to be a stark difference between Metropolis and Gotham. In this one, it's just New York City is buildings.
Yeah.
Oh, the New York Times, crazy. Like there's nothing really that's going to compel me to go in there.
Very true.
But let me know when we're booking our trip to Dubai.
We'll do.
Maybe.
We'll broadcast live from there. Wherever it is. We'll broadcast live from there, damn it.
Perfect.
I'm super excited for that. Speaking of lands, though, the Star Wars land, we saw the outlook on that. What's your take on that, then?
Better.
Yeah.
Because you can actually, like you said, go to Tatooine, go into the cantina, and do all that stuff.
Yeah. Like that's the thing. I want to step in there and be immersed. I want a little crappy band playing the cantina theme.
A jizz band.
Yeah. So is it a jizz? No, they play jizz. They play the jizz.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who came up with that?
I think it was George Lucas.
in his infinite wisdom.
Movie Versus talks about this all the time.
That was probably the first time that anyone gave George Lucas negative feedback, and he was like, "Fuck you! This instrument, it's called the jizz. You gonna correct me?"
It's the
and
jizz,
so people
it's the
just
jizz box.
don't correct him anymore because they're like, "You saw what happened last time.
Yeah.
I'm out."
Yeah, one of the instruments is called a jizz box. The genre of music is called jizz. They are a jizz band.
Jesus
That's on the
Christ.
whole planet.
This is a real thing, man. This is real.
It's not real, but
This is real, man.
it's as real as fiction can get.
Oh, very true. So, all right. So, Star Wars land better than possibly what's going to become Marvel land.
Yes, because it's unique.
In animated news, the new Spider-Man series, now that Ultimate Spider-Man has officially wrapped up, will set to debut on Saturday, August 19th. And those who went to D23 got to see an extended look at the new animated series in itself. Some interesting voice casts for the actual stuff. Patton Oswalt will play Uncle Ben in the series. And then some other people of note. There is not going to be a Norman Osborn or Green Goblin, but John DiMaggio, who has played Bender, Joker, and just about every other famous voice you probably have ever heard over the course of your lifetime, will be the Jackal, as that will be one of the major villains featured as well. There will also be Nahati Jeter as Miles Morales, so Miles will be the exact same age as Peter Parker. No word on how that will work out, there being two exact Spider-Mans at the same time, possibly. And then the actual Joe Quesada from Marvel will be basically taking over the Stan Lee from the Ultimate Spider-Man universe. So Joe Quesada will play Joe, just a character within this cartoon. And then someone named Robbie Damon will be Spider-Man himself. So sometimes Spider-Man cartoons are great. The best Spider-Man cartoon that was ever done was Spectacular Spider-Man. And that was capped after only 2 seasons because Sony lost the television rights back to Disney. I do like that Sony and Marvel are working together again because it means a Spider-Man cartoon. We'll never see an X-Men cartoon anymore, though, because Fox and Marvel refuse to work together. So,
For now.
Probably always, sadly. But we grew up watching the X-Men and Spider-Man cartoons. We grew up watching Batman the Animated Series. I know there's a huge clamoring for the next Young Justice season. Is there anything, not only with this Spider-Man cartoon, but would there ever be a superhero cartoon of a certain superhero that would make you want to sit down and watch in today's society?
I mean, I would want to sit down for these Spider-Mans. I mean, I loved Ultimate Spider-Man. Like, that was great. I enjoyed that a lot.
No.
Not even if there was a good Batman one again, Sam?
I feel like if a good Batman one showed up, but it would...
I mean, haven't you gone back and watched the old Justice Leagues?
Oh, yeah.
But you wouldn't want to watch a new Justice League.
I think they've done him so many times in the last like 5 or 3 or 4 incarnations I haven't really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just a little burnt out on it. Like, I'd be fine if a new one came out and it was really good. That'd be awesome. But the previous ones have been so bad. I think the only thing that would really compel me is if they did, like, when the new 52 came out and they did like DC Presents, and like each season they would do, let's say, 20 episodes. Each season, though, would be segmented into 4 different like mini shows, and like the first 5 episodes would be about Deadman. Then the next 5 would be about Zatanna, and then the next 5 would be about Batman. And it was kind of like shorts that would diversify and get you interested in potentially some characters you haven't heard of or things like that. That I would be kind of interested in, but nothing else has really grabbed my attention. Even a lot of the movies now on the DC side have been kind of boring to me, and I haven't liked the artwork either. And artwork is, I think, really important in these kind of things.
Yeah,
agreed. Garrett?
I mean, like I said, I would get down for another Spider-Man show. Batman, I'd be down for another Batman show, but it'd have to nail the tone really well. Like, it would almost have to be kind of like almost like an Adult Swim sort of thing, where it's like, it is kind of a more
edgy.
serious. I don't want to say edgy, but like
Dark,
yeah,
gritty.
Well, Batman
Is it
has
gritty?
to be dark. So
Does he though?
I don't know, Sam, does he?
I mean, he should be.
Yeah.
For myself, the only one I really want to see is X-Men. It's been 8 years since we've gotten any form of X-Men cartoon, and I want to see the original X-Men go out on adventures. Or if you want to update the X-Men, because X-Men comics are so convoluted, I need a new jumping on point to get back into that world. I want to see something along the lines of an X-Men cartoon. These live action stuff, even though Legion was good. I don't know how the one on Fox is going to be this fall, but those aren't doing it for me. That's not getting me into this world back.
Would you watch Wolverine and the X-Men? I know that's a show that's already been made, but would you watch it if it was Wolverine teaching, like essentially his comics that came out like 5 years or so ago, where he was the professor and he was essentially teaching away the New Mutants, and they were so funky, and the big enemy was a young Hellfire Club?
Yes, I would completely watch it. I would finally know who Gold Balls is then.
He's an Omega level mutant.
Yes. Listen to our Danger Room episode for more on Gold Balls.
Yes.
All right. So what else was from D23 that we really liked?
Kingdom Hearts.
What about it did you like?
They released a new trailer. You apparently get to go to Toy Story World.
Yeah,
really cool.
That was the big one.
They did like a whole full trailer though, instead of just like here's a world tease again.
My issue then with that is, and I didn't watch the trailer yet, but I saw the screenshots of it. Who's voicing those characters?
I don't know.
Because that is a bit more so than the other ones. Like, I can get behind somebody else voicing Simba. I can get behind whoever voicing whoever. But when it comes to Toy Story, Buzz and Woody kind of gotta have their guys.
It was just
right?
It was just the Japanese voice acting.
Are you saying Tim Allen can't speak Japanese?
Probably not. No.
I think that's a very fair assessment.
Maybe if he did enough coke, but probably not.
But I don't know who's going to be voice acting him. He definitely needs the work.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it. I will get that game.
It looks great. I'm just really excited for like all the new worlds and new stories and stuff. But they also, like at the very end of this trailer, it said coming 2018. So
coming 2024.
The belief is that they're finally going to actually be done developing the game and have it out this year. So
why did this one take so long? Was it the platform jumps?
I'm not sure.
Because the last one came out, 15 years ago?
Also, this is something that happens when you have
ago.
multiple companies and multiple properties putting their hands in the same thing. Lots of stuff happens.
Yeah. It was 12 years ago, Joe.
Okay. And is it... See, we keep saying multiple properties, but this should all be Disney-owned films.
Well, no, because it also has Final Fantasy stuff in it.
Gotcha, okay. Wasn't that just the video game developer?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're already working together to make the game, so like...
It's twice as many as it usually is.
But they're also incorporating Pixar now, as we've seen.
Pixar's Disney, though. Like, it's...
not.
Yes, it is.
It's not. They're a separate entity.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are, dude.
Then how are all the Pixar stuff at Disney already? And why does Disney put their name on all the Pixar stuff?
Because they produce it all, yeah, but like they are not like the same entity.
But Toy Story stuff is already all at Disney.
Is the same thing as Three Wise. Like, it's not. We're all under the same umbrella, but like we're not the same thing. We're not the same.
But isn't it it's the mother company though, right?
Yeah, Disney's the mother company of Pixar.
Yeah.
There is a hierarchy there where I believe Disney's able to say like, Pixar, pick that up, and be like, okay. I honestly don't know. I'm excited for Incredibles 2.
Oh yeah.
Apparently picking up moments after the first one ends.
Yeah, because that mole guy shows up.
The Undertaker.
Mole Man.
No, his name's The Undertaker.
Right, but he's the Mole Man.
Yeah.
Is that really what happened at the end of the first one? I have only seen it once, and it was a long time ago.
He shows up at the end like,
they were at a Dash's track and field event where he intentionally lost because he didn't want to use his powers.
Yeah.
And then he just comes up out of the ground with a giant drill thing.
And it goes, I'm Mole Undertaker. Then that's how it goes.
I am beneath you, but nobody is beneath me, is what he says.
That movie's so good.
All right, that's a good line. Yeah.
I'm very excited about. Actually, I'm not excited about. I watched the Avengers stuff, and
did you watch it?
No. I like just listening to it. The teaser for what the trailer or the teaser trailer was sounded funny and sounded interesting, but just the bravado of them all coming out now, it's getting so big that it's almost gross. Like, they introduced each other.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's like the running joke of it now, though.
No, because it doesn't seem like it's corny. It doesn't seem like it's cheeseball. It seems like it's like, oh man, I'd have a geek fantasy if Spider-Man swung in here. Whoa, Tom Holland, what are you doing here? Just being Spidey. You know what we're missing though? A king, a Wakandan king. Get on out here, Boseman. And then he's like, you know what'd be great if we weren't doing this anymore? Robert Downey Jr. Everybody. And he's like, roll the tape. It's dumb. I don't like it. It just seems like they're all just jerking each other off. And everybody at D23 is like, yeah, take it. It's gross. It's just so self-aggrandizing, and
It is.
don't like it. I want everybody to be bitter about it and be like, these movies kind of suck, just like in the DC, when they're sitting there at the DC panel. They're like, you guys' movies aren't that good. And like, well, we like them.
Yeah.
So I don't need this garbage. Also, Black Order is the cheapest version of a group of foursomes that I've ever seen in comics.
What is it?
It's Thanos's
Generals.
Furies, or it's
Oh.
Thanos's Horsemen of Apocalypse. Except they all suck.
I've never even heard of them.
I think they're in.
But Thanos, I know
Recent
next to
Thanos.
nothing really about Thanos, because anytime Thanos was on a comic book, I just passed it up. Because there's no sense in reading a Darkseid ripoff.
He worships the goddess of death. He's got his black army that's owned or that's run by, I think his name's like, oh no, something Cyrus or something. It's some dude with a blade or a glaive. I think it's like Cyrus Glaive or something. And he's got superhuman, all the stuff, and then his glaive,
Corvus Glaive.
And if he's still got it, he's immortal. And the other people aren't that exciting. He's got a wife that's also in the group, and they're all just real strong, but like not interesting. And I might be wrong. Maybe other people have stuff for me, but I read the most recent Avengers line where they were in it, and it's just kind of they're not impressive. They don't have diversity. The Furies, I would also argue, aren't the most interesting either. I would hand it to the Four Horsemen of Apocalypse are always the coolest. Mm-hmm. But these guys are just kind of dumb.
It's really weird because, and this will be the last thing I'll say on this. You ever seen a book? I'm not a huge reader, so maybe this is just me, but those who don't read a lot can relate. You ever seen a book and go, I wish I knew what the story was there. I just don't want to put the time and effort into reading it.
No,
so
because
I'll wait till the movie comes out.
No, I'll just Google it.
No, I would usually just read
And
it
then
at
read
that
it.
point.
Okay. Well, I have done that on more than one occasion. And I'm doing that again with Infinity War. I have seen the Infinity War graphic novel so many times. I've even had it lent to me. I got through like one chapter of it and was like, yeah, this is awful. So I'm kind of just waiting for the movie to come out so I can finally know whatever the fucking story is and just move on.
He's got the gauntlet.
Yes, I got that part.
And as he said he would, he's doing it himself. But you got to fight the Black Order first because you got to have something to be the middle of this movie.
No, the Black Order showed up first in New Avengers in 2013, but they were essentially
So that was way after Infinity
assume they're
Gauntlet.
going to be doing in this. And they were the ones that like each individually went after the individual members of the Illuminati to try and get the Infinity Gems.
Were they initially created in the series that I read?
It might have been.
Oh, good. So they had all that stuff to work with and still didn't come up with something clever.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you ever read the actual Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War, it is boring. I couldn't get through it. It's awful.
I mean, the Avengers from 2013 is really good. New Avengers and Avengers is really good, but the villains in it aren't impressive.
Right.
The story of it is.
But pick up the one from 1991. I dare you. Try and figure out what the hell that story is.
Don't do that and watch The Incredibles instead.
There you go. Perfect.
3 wise. 3 wise.
Radio.
War for Planet of the Apes is out now, becoming number one at the box office this week, dethroning Spider-Man Homecoming. Opening up, though, $20 million less than its predecessor, Dawn, but a couple million more than the original in the reboot series, Rise for Planet of the Apes. And this story is set to bookend the trilogy, as they're calling it, for Planet of the Apes reboot series, while leaving the door open as well, though, for future installments. So, we thought we'd take a look at the first two of these ape films, and then take a look at the Charlton Heston version, and then take a look at the Mark Wahlberg version, and compare them. Yes, we'll compare them in a very short term. First off, this reboot series is kind of telling a reverse version of the Charlton Heston films. So the original Charlton Heston film kind of takes place after all these reboot films would have already taken place. Because what people don't realize is if you line them up chronologically, the original series goes 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. However, they're not prequels because the third one begins by going back in time. So, and it's kind of a weird inbred as to how these apes become intelligent. They become intelligent because the apes were already intelligent in the first two, and then when Heston decided no more sequels in the second one and blows up the world kablooey by blowing up the Alpha Omega bomb, there's a great nod in this one to it, they go back in time, and then it's those talking apes give birth to Caesar, who then starts the talking apes. And
that's good. That's damn good writing.
That is writing from 1970.
Good point.
That is writing from 1970. As opposed to the Mark Wahlberg one, I could not tell you how the apes became intelligent, but
President Lincoln was an ape.
No, that's the weird Burton twist ending.
Yeah, but that's how it happened.
Well, he's on a different planet. He's not even on Earth, they believe, in the remake of Planet of the Apes from Wahlberg and Burton.
Well, he thinks he is, but he was actually sucked into like a portal thing, right?
Correct.
Isn't that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he was chasing an ape that they were experimenting on, I think, on the ship. And something happened. Look, the Wahlberg one is a really bad film.
Well, that's an impression. That's your opinion.
Combat me on it, Sam, because what is great about...
I'd say your opinion. I meant that's the world's opinion.
Okay.
My bad. Much respect. Mark Wahlberg's great, though.
Mark Wahlberg is great. Burton was probably not the man to do a Planet of the Apes film. Tim Roth kills it, though, as the villain in that film.
There's Bad Monkey?
No. I forget what his name is, but Tim Roth and Michael Clark Duncan play the... kind of like the two villains of the film, and it is really good and tries to take a lot from the Heston films in the sense of you have a spaceman go into the future, he thinks, somehow, and finds out that apes rule the world. Humans have become primates and they're primitive and everything else, and it's interesting.
Giamatti's in it too.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's like the...
They're good.
Yeah, no, the characters and actors were fine. The story is awful because the Forbidden Zone is just his spaceship that has crashed onto this planet, as opposed to it being the Statue of Liberty from the original. And
that's how limited my knowledge is. I saw Planet of the Apes when I was a kid, and I never saw it again. I don't know whether there was a Forbidden Zone.
There is a Forbidden Zone.
Why?
Because there is something there that is from man, that the apes hate man so much that they don't want to fall into man's world. And what it is you find out it's the harbor of New York, and that you come to find out that the humans blew up the planet. So in the original Planet of the Apes, the twist was you thought he was on a foreign planet the entire time, and he was trying to make it back to Earth. And at the very end, he travels to the Forbidden Zone because he hears there's a way. He's like, well, that's where man's tools are. You can find something to possibly get you off the planet.
Right.
But
I know that.
Okay. And
it's just they know it was a Forbidden Zone.
Yes. And then in the sequel, there's mutants, you find out, who are trying to end the world, and they capture Heston at the beginning of it and hold him prisoner while an expedition that was searching for Heston crashes onto the planet, and chaos ensues. So
which of these movies are good?
From the original?
Yeah.
The original 5. The first 2 are good. The 4th one is entertaining.
It's high praise.
All right.
3 and 5 are kind of just lip service. To give an example, though, the way I best put it is Rise of the Planet of the Apes is essentially the 4th film in the original series.
That explains how the apes got smart.
Exactly. Because by that point, Caesar, who's the child of the 2 apes who traveled back into time when the planet blew up, is in prison. And the film takes place in 1991, and a flu has killed all dogs, all cats, and essentially ape and horses are like the only animals that are still around, and they've used the apes to start as like animals and pets to start as slaves, and they start trying to make them work for them. And then Caesar holds this uprising and gives this very emotional speech at the end. It was a good kind of mirror for almost like the civil rights movement that was still going on in 1972.
I don't buy that all dogs and cats die, so we decide to make monkeys slaves.
It's essentially what's happened in these films.
No,
They talk about the simian flu in Dawn. They talk about the simian flu in Dawn and how it killed all the dogs and cats again.
Right, but we didn't. Then there wasn't any point in these movies where they're like, let's make monkeys pets or let's make apes pets.
No. Yes, they've taken some liberties with it.
That's just a big logical jump. That's like, explain that one. I just want a dog so bad. I just want to enslave an ape. There's a few steps there you missed.
You're not wrong, but so that's kind of what I guess the Mark Wahlberg one was missing. There was no humanity to it. There was no you didn't feel for the apes or the human. It was just kind of like this weird guy running around. There was none of that like using someone is bad or I just want to be left alone to be my own man, which is kind of what the reboot series is what Caesar now in these ones is. When he finds out he's smart and he's put in the zoo and he's mistreated, he's like, I just want to be left alone. I just want to be with my quote unquote people and
allowed to live.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where the human element comes in the original series and comes in the reboot series. And it's what the Wahlberg one was missing so much. It was just fantastical adventure. Like,
well, the Wahlberg one was just like the whole time it was like, look, it's what I'm worried Murder on the Orient Express is going to be like. Look at us. We're doing Planet of the Apes. Yeah, that one's a gorilla. This one's the bad guy. There's a chimp over there.
So wait,
why did this happen? Because it's the Planet of the Apes. We're doing it.
Finish that analogy for Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, I think it's just going to be all the actors being wildly over-exaggerative as to their roles. Like, you know how you're supposed to overact when you're doing theater?
Yes.
I assume every actor there is just going to be doing theater for the entire movie. Because they are so awesome. Doing the Oriental Express. Garrett, we're doing it, aren't we? Action? Yeah, let's do it. It's gross.
Actually, that's been the better selling point for that entire film. I saw that trailer again this morning and I had no desire to see the film. Now I want to see the film, Sam. Thank you.
The trailer doesn't do anything. All it does is lead up to... It's the same thing I'm talking about. It's just a big jerk of like, there's a lot of people on this train. This train? What kind of train? Is it going east? Why, yes, it is. A murder on the Orient Express that we're in?
We've gone into a tangent about the Orient Express during a Planet of the Apes segment, but you're right, because at the end of that trailer, there's the big reveal where it's like, and who are you? I'm Jacques Cousteau, or whatever the fuck his name is.
It's the greatest detective there ever was. Also not true. Kenneth Branagh.
But
Batman is the greatest detective.
Here's the thing. There is a book series based around that detective that was apparently like really popular in the early 19th century, but the problem of it is that, I'm sorry, the early 20th century, but the problem of it is that this is the first film about him, so it's not like he's already an established guy, and people from our generation know jack shit about this character or who he is as a human being. So it's like that line and reveal mean nothing. And then you see Kenneth Branagh with this weird-ass fucking facial hair.
But he could be anybody. Like, if somebody showed up and like, I'm Gus Chiggins, the world's greatest detective. You'd be like, are you? Yes. Who says that? Those of us here on the Orient Express. Whoa! Like, no one cares.
But Imagine Dragons Believers playing in the background, too, for that boom. Because he's going to make them a believer, Sam.
What is that? Is that a song?
Believer, yeah. Imagine Dragons. You've heard it.
Probably. I was just so wrapped up in the performances of the trailer, I don't remember.
Fair enough. Back to Planet of the Apes, though. Essentially, that is why Wahlberg's Planet of the Apes, correct, did not work, was because it was just people being monkeys for monkeys' sake.
Yeah.
So
yes.
you have to feel the humanity in a Planet of the Apes film, which is what we felt so far in the first two installments of this franchise. This one kind of sets to wrap up that because it takes place, I think, about 2 years after the last installment. So you have like the start of the war from the last installment, and this is kind of what is finishing the war as well. And I will say, there are many of great nods if you know the Heston films and you know what happens. Just like in the first one, we see the ship that is carrying the Heston character launch into space, and in
that was one of the best nods in movies.
There are other nods like that in this film. It's kind of still laying the groundwork and being like, listen, that will happen, but we're not telling that story. We're telling a different story.
But if we make them enough money,
we'll get to that story. So that's kind of what makes a good Planet of the Apes film, and why I enjoy them is you have to feel for both sides. You have to feel why the humans are fighting and why the apes have done what they've done. And just like the original series, in the beginning, you're cheering for the humans, and by the end, you're rooting for the apes.
So that's the thing. When these ones, I was never really cheering for the humans.
I was cheering for Lithgow.
I was cheering for like
Franco.
John Lithgow, and that's it.
Who's the guy who's in every film? It seems like he was in Zero Dark 30. He was in Public Enemies. He was in he's in Dawn. He's the good guy, not Oldman. Oldman was the bad guy, but
was he the other doctor that gets coughed or gets sneezed on?
No. This is the guy I'm talking about in the second one. He has a family.
Lead?
Yeah, the lead in the second film.
He's like,
I don't remember his name, and that was a lot.
First four like quasi action stars passed, so we got you.
Exactly. I enjoyed him in that one. I was rooting for him and his family.
He's the guy that's on The Americans, right?
I believe so, yes.
He is not Andy Serkis, not Gary Oldman, not Kerry Russell, Jason Clarke. No, it's Kerry Russell that's in The Americans.
Yes.
Not Jason Clarke. Yeah. I mean, I was cheering for those people, but not like people in general.
Right.
For humanity.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone's going to be cheering for Woody Harrelson in this one.
That's what I was going to say. In terms of like picking a person that you won't really see the humanity in, great casting with bald Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson is surprisingly a great actor. Like, he is,
but also, like, I don't feel for him as a human in any of his movies, I don't think.
No.
I'm also probably not seeing the right movies.
Well, Woody Harrelson is never going to make me want to go out and see a film, but I can tell you numerous films that are better because Woody Harrelson is in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This, I think, is one of them. White Men Can't Jump is another. But
I was just going to say, that's a great movie.
That is a great movie. So, go see it. We'll possibly be doing a trial defense against it coming up in an upcoming podcast. So
we'll be doing it.
Oh yeah,
we will be doing a trial defense. We're not there yet.
We're working on it. It's delicious. It's too delicious. Get out of here. Piquing your interest. Bow.
As usual, we end every episode with what's piquing our interest, where we just say what's piquing our interest. Garrett, what's piquing your interest this week?
What's piquing my interest? It's just a small thing, but I sent it to Joe earlier this week because I know he would appreciate it. But Asbat is making a return to comics. He looks real sleek, looks real nice.
In what capacity?
He's got a new costume and everything. He's no longer in like the old Azrael getup.
The cover of Detective Comics number 692 has Asbat on the cover.
Yeah,
and James Tynion IV, who writes a lot of the Batman comics and has always been like the second in command for Scott Snyder during his Batman run, said basically in a Instagram, "This is not a dream, not in big capital letters, an imaginary story. Bat Azrael is back." So we will get something with Asbat in Detective Comics number 962, which we have not seen since the Nightfall storyline. We've seen Azrael and we've seen variations of it, but we've not seen the actual Asbat back in comics. So I am very excited for that because I am curious to see what they're going to do with that character.
It looks like he's going to be a villain.
As he should be. Asbat is not a good guy.
Ascalon, the deadly artificial intelligence created by the Order of Saint Dumas, is ready to replace Azrael and purify Gotham. All that stands in the way of the world's most flawless computer brain, is the mind of Batman himself. Da-na-na.
My only concern is, who will it be? Because there have been different versions of Azrael now.
They're saying it's a computer.
Well, I know. But somehow Jean Paul Valley needs to be involved, in my personal opinion. I don't care if he's behind the computer. I need Jean Paul Valley because it's like Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Jean Paul Valley is Asbat. These people are who make this character. It's not the costume, even though that's badass. It's the man behind the mask that makes the costume. Sam, what's piquing your interest this week?
Two quick things. Garrett? No, it's not Game of Thrones. He was mad because I made that one illegal. You couldn't say it because we're all excited about it, except for Joe and probably several other people. George A. Romero passed away.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
This happened like 20 minutes ago. So I just wanted to throw this one in. A brief battle with cancer. Again, not tragic, but it is very sad. He's one of the top 5 names in horror. And I'm worried that a lot of my horror icons are getting older and we'll start getting a streak of lots of famous people that kind of really started the horror genre for me passing away. So R.I.P. King of Zombies.
I was gonna say, because he is the king of zombies, you think they'll have an open casket funeral?
Well played.
Just thought I'd ask. What is also piquing your interest?
Piquing my interest is, the internet's on fire because the new Doctor Who is a lady.
Is it really?
It's a lady. They made sure to do a 2-minute intro where a person with a hood is walking on through the woods, and then the TARDIS shows up, and they slowly open their hood to reveal it's a lady. So, I don't care, because the show has not been great for me lately, so I'm really not worried about it. The only thing that's annoying to me is it's gotten to the point where the people who are upset about it being a girl, like, oh, the Doctor's a man, and what is this, Nurse Who? Or, like, those kind of terrible people. I'm also just as annoyed by the people who are now, like, antagonizing those people, being like, sucks to suck. You guys are just the worst. Like,
Yeah.
maybe if you were a little more welcoming and inviting and, like, tried to almost compel them to give it a chance rather than just immediately shitting on anybody that might be upset about something.
True.
Maybe you could change their mind instead of just getting them to turn it off.
Yeah.
Or you'd rather just be upset about it. Or just, like, gloat about it. Either way, I will not watch.
It's a possibility.
I might do what I did with the older stuff, with like Christopher Evans and stuff. Like, just wait a while, and once it's all in one place again, like if they ever re-release it to Netflix or something, just watch it all then. But
Sure. So neither of my interests are actually piqued.
And that makes sense.
Joe, what about you?
What's piquing my interest is I actually spent a lot of time at the theater this weekend. I saw War for Planet of the Apes, and I've also seen All Eyes on Me, the Tupac Shakur biography, even though it came out a month ago. Yeah, there was still a couple theaters playing it here in St. Louis. And one of the things is, this is a period that always fascinates me because the Gangsta Rap war, basically, between East Coast and West Coast in the 90s, it's something that I was alive for. And I vaguely remember because I remember turning on All About the Benjamins, or there was a couple other, like a Dr. Dre song or whatever. You would turn that on because someone would have that CD when you were like 9, 10, and teachers or people that were looking to be like, don't play that. No one plays that. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. So it was one of those things where it's like I knew in the back of my head kind of what was going on, but I was still a white sheltered kid in the Midwest to where I had no idea why everyone was saying these things.
And minimal access, yeah.
Exactly. So it's very interesting to me to learn about this and see something because by the time I'm 12, 2 years later, I'm listening to Eminem. Eminem comes in and that becomes a huge influence musically and creatively in my life. So I come in on kind of the next generation of what is not so much gangster rap anymore, but what is music and how it becomes. And then what got me to watch this film was there's a great documentary on HBO right now called Defiant Ones that's about Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine.
Yeah.
And that I watched all 4 parts of that. That is great because it shows you 2 guys from different worlds and different backgrounds that essentially took the music
and have the same passion.
I guarantee you anything you listen to, if you grew up in the 90s or the 2000s, was done by Interscope Records, which they redefined how music is done. They basically took artists and said, okay, Trent Reznor from 9 Inch Nails, you don't want to be with that label anymore? Come to us. All right, what are you going to do for me? What do you want? I want a label. Done. I just want to have creative freedom and you don't touch me. Done. And they talk about Dre's process and like how he hears someone recording and then he's like, all right, stop. Let's put that in. And it's an amazing thing to see these artists work and become what they've became.
I watched the one about Eminem, about bringing him into
the last one?
Yeah, and that was so good. So interesting. But I guess my question for you, Joe, is I know you're with me And if you had to pick a side, it's the dirty South. But would you go East Coast versus West Coast? What side are you on?
Out of East or West, I would go West because Cube, Dre, Tupac Shakur, even though he comes from Baltimore and New York area, he goes to Death Row and then does stuff with them on the West Coast. The West Coast rap scene was better because it was essentially Death Row versus Bad Boy Entertainment. Bad Boy Entertainment was Notorious B.I.G., Lil' Kim. It was run by Puff Daddy, even though he wants to be called Diddy now, or P. Diddy. Who knows what he wants to go by.
The names you put on that side, not the powerhouses that the names on the left side are.
No, but for a brief period of time in the 90s, they were.
Sure.
They were really big. Nas from the East Side. So, and it's really funny because what most people don't realize is Tupac and Biggie, the two casualties out of this war, were friends. They were friends in the beginning, and then there was a misunderstanding when Tupac went to go visit Notorious B.I.G. in Atlanta. There was a misunderstanding, and it was an actual gangster who shot Tupac in that, and he didn't die from that, but then he blamed Bad Boy Entertainment for that. And Suge Knight and Death Row took that off, and they started basically declaring war on them, and it became a real-life gangster war. Not to mention all the inner bickering between Ice Cube and Eazy-E and Dre and all that other stuff that was also going on the West Coast. But you're right, Sam. Southern hip-hop in the early 2000s is where it's at.
The dirty South.
With Juvenile, 3 6 Mafia, and Nappy Roots. All right, that's going to do it for us this week. I've ranted enough about gangster rap for one day. You can check out all our other podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and YouTube. You can also check out Movie Versus, which comes out every Thursday, pitting two bad movies against each other. If you liked our Star Wars updates, go to Beyond the Blast Doors for all of your Star Wars information. And, of course, Good Bad or Bad Bad, as well as if you just want to find out if movies are good bad or bad bad. That's going to do it for us this week. We'll see you next.
3 Wise Radio is a production of 3 Wise Media. For more information, check us out on Facebook.